Okay, so the total amount of money that I've spent on this project refitting Elixir in New Zealand so that we can be ready for the second half of this circumnavigation is... Alright, welcome to another update from this voyage around the world. It's been a very wet and windy few days here in New Zealand, which has made it quite difficult for us because we are in the final stages of this refit, moving everything on board and just tidying up the last few systems. But yeah, everything's coming together. It's super exciting. In this video, I thought I would talk about money, how much this refit has set me back. As if you've been following, it's been a year and we made some pretty significant changes on Elixir, and a question I get asked all the time is how much does this cost? People are interested, they want to buy a boat and do something similar. So yeah, this video is for you. And yeah, if you're not familiar with this journey, my name's Max. I sailed this boat Elixir from the UK to New Zealand, halfway around the world with a bunch of mates, a constantly changing crew. After arriving in New Zealand, pretty much everything broke, and then I've just spent a prolonged period of time here trying to fix everything, and now we're just about ready to go and sail out to Fiji and continue this circumnavigation and slowly make our way back to the UK, which is super exciting. And yeah, it's just been so wet and hectic here. Had a bit of drama earlier today because everywhere's flooding, including my storage container where I'm keeping all of my stuff. So yeah, it's been pretty stressful. Show us your hair that you just got done. Wow, look at that. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You got your hair done especially for the moving in day?
Yeah.
Since it's such a big occasion.
It's perfect weather to have nice hair.
We're starting the big job of moving all of our stuff back on Elixir out of the storage container and back onto the boat, which is exciting. It's a big milestone. Why do you look so distressed?
The container is flooding. We need to get everything at least like half a foot off the ground. We're trying to lift the crate off the ground, but we have to move fast because our car is going to be trapped because the roundabout is flooding. We have to.
Hey guys, I'm sorry to rush you, but we're gonna lock it down.
Okay.
You're not gonna get your car out otherwise. Okay.
I'm just going to get straight into it. So I've got a list here where I am just going to talk through everything that I've spent money on in the last year with this refit to the nearest penny or cent. Most of my followers are from the US, so we'll use American dollars. Yeah, alright, so number one, mooring fees. Now this is the cost of the boatyard, which I was in for about 3 months, and then the rest of the time in the marina. I kind of needed to be in the boatyard and the marina because I just needed to get on and off the boat multiple times throughout the day, loading on loads of stuff, and just for convenience it made sense. This is also including the cost of getting lifted in and out of the water. Mooring and boatyard fees in total, $6,920.43. That's probably one of the biggest bills of the last year. If you've been following this refit, you would have seen that I almost lost the mast as I was coming to New Zealand. Super lucky, the forestay tang snapped. In order to repair it, we had to pull the mast, take off all of the rigging, standing rigging, running rigging, cut the top of the mast open, do some technical aluminium welding, and then step it. For that I had to pay for a welder and also to get the mast moved and just a few other things as well. And that came to $1,268.02. So the third thing, an entire new electrical system on Elixir, super important part of the boat, upgraded to lithium, which I decided to pay a little bit more and get the latest next generation Victron batteries with their own external BMS and all of the Victron kit, which there's just so many things you have to buy. It's like the batteries themselves, the BMS, I got a new charger and inverter, which is just a single unit, 2 solar chargers, a DC to DC charger, a servo, this control screen, loads of wires and bus bars and terminals, fuses, all sorts of things. Like, all in all, the electrical refit came to $2,883.85. This refit would not be possible without the support of our partners, and I want to say a huge thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video As someone who works remotely and is constantly on the move, maintaining a secure connection is essential to manage both this channel and Elixir. Using public Wi-Fi is notoriously risky. I can speak authentically about this because after using a public Wi-Fi network in McDonald's in the Caribbean, my Facebook account was hacked forever. I never got it back and I've been using a VPN ever since. Surfshark works by encrypting your connection so your private data stays private, plus you can protect unlimited devices under one account, so that's laptop, phone, tablets. I really like how the VPN is able to block ads, trackers and malware. This saves precious bandwidth, which is really important when you're using expensive satellite data from a boat in the middle of the ocean. If you want to get a great deal and support the channel, go to surfshark.com/untied or use code untied at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Make sure to check it out. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Now back to the refit. Paints, glues, resins, all of this just stuff that you need when you're doing a refit. Obviously we repainted the interior, did a load of varnishing in here, loads of fiberglass work, so I had to buy epoxy and cloth and all of that stuff. Anyway, so this came to $865.09. It's not the cheapest, but instead of buying marine stuff, you can just buy exterior paint. Like this white in here is just a water-based exterior paint. It seems to be durable and fine. I mean, it looks nice. So yeah, I also had to overhaul the engine and I brought a new gearbox, new mounts, a few other bits and bobs, which came to $3,460.99, which again I feel is a really good price for all of this stuff. Wood, I just had to buy plywood and other wood because there was stuff that needed rebuilding on the interior, a sheet of plywood and some of the Kauri hardwood, which is like a native tree here, so that was useful for a lot of the interior projects that I did, and that came to $173. So I already had the water maker, but I did a lot of upgrades to it, completely replaced the freshwater system on the boat, so all of the pumps, tubing, clips, all of that stuff for the water system came to $581.82. I had a lot of tools on the boat, but there were a few random bits and bobs I needed to buy, like my sander packed up. Yeah, I don't know, just random things. So that comes to $288.33. Bimini, I brought a new Bimini for the boat. Elixir is an S&S Swan. These boats don't usually have much in the terms of Biminis and solar arches and stuff, so we're going to be in the tropics for like years. I hate being in the sun when you're sailing, so yeah, Bimini, I just think it's a super important thing, and that came to $894.30, which I feel like is a good price because it's a solid Bimini. Yeah, so there we go. Life raft and safety stuff. I had to buy a new life raft and life jackets, hydrostatic release, fire extinguishers, all of that stuff. Obviously essential to have in order. Annoyingly expensive. It came to $2,306.67. Yeah, oven conversion. Elixir had an alcohol stove before, which we've changed for a gas stove. I managed to get a brand new stove secondhand, which had never been used. That was pretty good, but then you have to buy like gas bottles, regulators, all of the piping, gas detectors, yeah, a bunch of stuff. This came to $1,567.53. Again, I feel like that's not too bad. If you think about it, we're going to be cooking like multiple times a day, every day for years. Starlink, $412.01. I haven't mounted that yet, but I've got the latest Starlink dish, and that's going to be important because obviously I'm constantly editing, uploading content for people. Oh yeah, so obviously I had all of my stuff stored elsewhere for the year because we can't do all of this work when there's loads of stuff inside. So for most of it I was just renting a container off a mate, so it was super affordable, and then for the last few months, because he sold his place, I've rented another container closer to town, which unfortunately flooded today. Hopefully all of my stuff is alright. So on storage for the last year I spent $1,149.52. Insurance. My insurance policy for the last year has been pretty cheap because I haven't actually sailed the boat, I've just had it in the boatyard and in the marina. My insurance policy varies so much year to year depending on where I am. Yeah, this year it's been fairly cheap. it's $1,161.75. Usually it's about double that if we're cruising around, yeah, the South Pacific. I bought a few new solar panels because we have a bigger battery bank, so I wanted to increase the solar array. So solar panels, I've spent $577.12. Giving back to mates. I'm lucky, I have some amazing friends who have come to help me out and spent some just long periods of time helping out. Super grateful for my friends. One thing that I genuinely believe in is that whatever you put out into the universe, into the world, is going to come back to you eventually. I am very conscious of people helping me out, and I always feel like I need to pass that along to other people. Not necessarily the same person, but I think it's really important to give back, and yeah, I find that life just works like that. Giving back, like with gifts, taking people out for food, coffee, lunches. So this is $331.93. Okay, so the total amount of money that I've spent on this project, on this refit over the last year, refitting Elixir in New Zealand so that we can be ready for the second half of this circumnavigation, is $24,842.36. Elixir is one of those boats that I took her on for a project. She was one of those boats that go for a nominal fee because there's so much work required to get her sailing again. We basically started from scratch with this boat and built up every system one by one over the last 5 or 6 years that I've owned her. Obviously, one thing that I didn't include in here was my time, and if you value your time, it's never really worth doing a refit like this unless you're really quick. When you own a boat, especially like an old one like Elixir, you form an attachment, and there's something really important about that. There's no way I could just buy another boat and continue the circumnavigation on another boat, even if it made more sense financially. Yeah, I have to stick with her. Yeah, I enjoyed the refit, I enjoyed the project. I learned so much about the boat and so much about systems in general. I'm like so much more confident as an engineer moving forward, as a captain, and I feel like way more confident in the boat. I love this boat so much. I put so much time and energy and effort into her, and I just can't wait to continue this voyage on Elixir. She's the perfect boat for this trip, and yeah, that's it. It's a lot of money, but I think it's worth it. It's still a few years of sailing till we get back to the UK, and this is my home for now, so